What's up, everybody? It's Jimmy G here with the CLT Life show in Charlotte, North Carolina. No, not that Jimmy G that got it. My ankle is still good. But hey, speaking of ankle injuries and quarterback changes, we have breaking news today. You probably already heard it that Baker Mayfield has been cut by the Carolina Panthers, so he can see where he can maybe land later this season. Wanted to bring you some instant reactions from myself and Wali, the co-host on the CLT Life. So without further ado, here's our reactions to the news that Baker Mayfield was cut by the Carolina Panthers.
So Baker Mayfield has been waived by the Carolina Panthers. And personally, I don't really have an emotional reaction to the decision. His time here in Carolina wasn't very productive. I think he leaves with a 1-5 record as the starter. He didn't play very well for whatever reason. He was, liked by the fans for the most part, aside from his play on the field. And it seems like the coaches and his teammates liked him. As Steve Wilks said, he was nothing but a pro during his time here. But there just wasn't room for him in the quarterback room anymore. Sam Darnold is the starter right now. And P.J. Walker is the backup. And, each of these guys has had an opportunity this season to show what they can do, and Baker showed the least. So, personally, I wish him well wherever he lands. But I don't have an emotional response. I think it was just a business decision.
Funny, I really wasn't. I wasn't surprised when I found out. In all honesty, unless Sam Darnold and P.J. Walker were to get hurt again in the last 6 games of the season, Baker Mayfield is not going to see the field again. There's a couple reasons for that. One is because of his play this season. So I was reading on ESPN, they keep a stat called total QBR, total quarterback rating. And it has all kinds of things that it goes into, but basically it's designed to rate the effectiveness of a quarterback. So they've been doing this stat going back to 2010 or 2009, I think it said. Anyway, the very worst QBR for a season that a quarterback has ever had was back in I can't even think of the guys. Jimmy Clausen. It was Jimmy Clausen's rookie year. So Jimmy Clausen was the worst. He was a Panthers quarterback, everyone remembers, 2nd-round draft pick out of Notre Dame the year before Cam Newton. So his rookie year was the worst total QBR recorded by ESPN since they started keeping this stat. And Baker Mayfield had the 2nd worst QBR that was tracked. So that was like out of 521 possible quarterbacks that qualified for this rating. This season, his rating was next to last. It was like 520th out of 521. So he wasn't going to play again. There's a clause in the contract that if Baker were to play more than 70% of the snaps this season, that the Cleveland Browns would get a 4th-round draft pick, compensatory draft pick from the Panthers. Since he did not play that 70%, and obviously he's not going to now, that 4th-round pick will actually be a 5th-round pick. I would have been happy if they got the 4th-round pick if that meant that he was a starter all season and that he was playing really well. But he went 1-5 this season, and he lost the starting job after injury to P.J. Walker. Then P.J. got hurt before Darnold was ready to come back, and he got to play one more game. Played terribly against the Baltimore Ravens. We lost that game as well.
Was it a good decision for the Carolina Panthers to release Baker Mayfield? Personally, I don't think it was a good or a bad decision, just a business decision. He was 3rd on a depth chart behind Sam Darnold and P.J. Walker, and he was going to be inactive this week. So maybe financially, there's a financial impact in terms of savings by releasing him or waiving him. But in terms of morale or chemistry, as far as the team is concerned, it doesn't seem like it will affect the team very much. I don't think anybody had a problem with him. He just wasn't very productive. And so from that perspective, nobody's going to miss him in terms of his productivity. And I think with it being his first season, he would have had to have played better, produced more for any of the team or coaches or people involved in the organization to have a stronger attachment to him or desire to have him around. For all intents and purposes, they say he was a good locker room guy. But, at this point, with this team in transition, with an interim coach and a lot of young players, I just don't think, his presence will be sorely missed. Now, hopefully he gets picked up and he gets to continue his career, for his sake. And I think that's what he wanted out of this transaction. So I think it was good for him, for Baker personally, because I think he'll get picked up and he'll get an opportunity to play maybe, in San Francisco or Houston or Baltimore. Those are some of the teams that have a need at quarterback right now. But ultimately, I don't think it much affects the Panthers, other than there's less uncertainty about the quarterback position. So from that standpoint, it may be a good thing because, you don't have to worry. The pecking order, and there won't be much of a quarterback controversy, as long as everybody does their job.
Is this a good move or is this a bad move? I think it's a good move. There's no risk now of him playing more than 70% of the snaps. It's also a good move for Baker. It gives him another opportunity. There are a couple of key injuries yesterday in the NFL. One, Jimmy Garoppolo lost for the season with a broken ankle. That's really bad luck for the 49ers. They've got a great team this year. They have an awesome defense and a ton of offensive weapons. So first they lose Trey Lance, and then they lose Jimmy Garoppolo for the season. So they're down to their rookie quarterback. So having a veteran quarterback come in, Mayfield might be the only option that's out there, unless you look to somebody like Cam Newton, who hasn't played all season. So I don't know how viable that is. So that, and then Lamar Jackson also got hurt yesterday. So they're probably looking for another backup quarterback. Can you imagine that, Cleveland Brown fans, if Baker Mayfield ended up playing for the Baltimore Ravens? I really think their heads would spin.
Releasing Baker Mayfield, I don't think it changes the thought process about the quarterback room in Carolina. You have Sam Darnold and P.J. Walker, and Matt Corral is recovering from a foot injury. So, who knows if Corral can be the guy that is a long-term solution. I don't think Darnold or P.J. is a long-term solution, although both have played decently with the opportunities that they have had this year. But you probably still need to draft a quarterback in the 2023 draft, and you need to draft somebody with the intentions of that person, of that young man, becoming the starter and long-term solution at quarterback. So I think that's the thought process within the organization, and I don't think that Baker Mayfield's release changes that in the slightest. You're still looking for a quarterback who can win football games and get you to the playoffs and win playoff games. Now, they don't have to do it right away. If Sam Darnold plays well enough this year, for the rest of this year, that you feel like you can take him into next season and let the rookie sit, learn, and progress at his own pace until it's time for whoever it is to, get some game action as the starter, so be it. But you have to draft a quarterback in the 2023 draft if you're the Carolina Panthers, and you have to get it right. That's what it comes down to.
I really don't think it has much impact. Their plans were not to keep Baker Mayfield beyond this season after the way that he performed, in his opportunities here with the Panthers. So he wasn't going to come back. He wasn't going to see the field. He wasn't going to be on the active roster because Sam Darnold's your starter and P.J. Walker's your backup now. And Baker Mayfield was basically, I don't even know if he would dress or how that works out, but he would be on a clipboard or in the stands or maybe not even at the game. So it's a chance for him to try to hit reset on the season if he possibly can, try to get into onto a team, get some practice reps and see what he can do to resurrect his career. But man, how far he has fallen. So that's the breaking news. Go Panthers. We have a big week coming up this week with our next game coming up this this Sunday after having a bye week. So yeah, we'll see how that goes, and stay tuned for our next show. Take care.